I'm Mark Suhadolnik with GSG. Today in the Applications Lab, we're coming back to answer one of our many questions we get on our YouTube channel. How to print a simple one-color white ink on a dark garment for beginners. To start off, we're going to show you how to properly coat your screen for this one-color print. First, we have our scoop coater. If you notice on your scoop coater, you have a sharp edge and you have a dull edge. When you're printing textiles, you're printing for t-shirts, you want to use the dull side. The dull side of the scoop coater is going to give you the right amount of emulsion on your screen, so you have the proper EOM or emulsion over mesh, and it's going to give you that really nice stencil gasket. It's going to determine the amount of ink that you're actually putting down onto your shirt. We're using Elano QXO. It's a pure photopolymer emulsion, so it's just one part. You don't have to add any diazo into it. It's really fast drying, real great exposure, holds detail very well. Now that we have our coater full of emulsion, we're going to take our coater, level our emulsion off, apply the coater to the bottom of the screen, let the emulsion flow to it. Then with good constant pressure, we're going to go ahead and do our single coat on the substrate or shirt side of the screen. We're going to flip it over. We're going to repeat and do the same thing on the inside. Now that our screen is coated, you can see we have a nice even coat of emulsion. So we'll go ahead and put this on our rack, have some fans behind it to dry it, and then we're ready to go to exposure. Keep in mind, when you dry your screens, after you coat them, have the shirt side or the bottom of the screen facing down. This way, as the screen dries, your emulsion levels off, and it's going to give us that nice stencil gasket on the bottom of the screen. Now on to printing our films. First thing you'll need is an inkjet printer. Inkjet printer is going to give you really nice dark opaque film that you really need for when you're exposing your screens. With the inkjet film, as you can see where I'm covering over my hand, you have a really nice opaque dark black film, which is going to be excellent when we go to the expose unit and we go to wash out this image. It's going to hold everything we need on our screen for our design. Now that we have our film printed, we're going to go ahead, we're going to show you how to line this up on our screens, and then we'll go to exposure. We have right here, we have our GSG PreRegistration Template, and what this is, it has an aluminum bar on the back that your screen rests against, a center line, top line, and it has your left chest and right chest images, so you know your proper placement. So what we do is we take, not necessarily registration marks at this point, we use the registration marks for our center. Then we take the top of our printed image or image that's going to be printed, and we put that at the top of image line. So now that our film is centered, we simply took tape and we put a piece of tape at the top and the bottom with the sticky surface up. Then we're going to take our screen, line it in between our side bars against the aluminum bar in the back, place our screen down, and simply rub the screen on top so the tape adheres to it. And then here we have our film on our screen, taped on, centered, and we're ready to go to exposure. Now we'll take our frame, centered on our glass, go ahead and lock down our vacuum blanket, start our exposure, and in 20 seconds, we're ready to wash it out. Now that our exposure is complete, we just unhook our vacuum frame, remove our film from the screen, and we're ready to wash it out. We're going to start with wetting down both sides of the screen to get that emulsion start to soften up so we can rinse it out. Now that our screen is rinsed out, there's no residue left behind, we'll put this on our drying rack and we'll be ready to go. First thing I do before I put my screens on the rack is I just wipe off all the excess water so they dry a lot faster and I can get it on the press. There's no issue wiping them off, or for that matter, using a pressure washer to rinse out your screen. As long as your exposure is correct and your emulsion is hardened, you're good to go and put it on the rack. Now that our screen's dry, we're ready to tape it up and go on press. Whenever I'm taping out my screens, I always use the PMI tape dispenser. This is gonna hold our 3-inch roll of PMI split tape. The split tape, where the blue squares are with the GSG logo, this has very, very low adhesive to it, whereas the white side has a stronger adhesive. So that way when you tape out your screen, you're not left with any adhesive residue along the insides of your frame. Okay, we're ready to go on press. Let's go ahead and get some ink in the screen and we'll do our first print. We applied a spreadable adhesive onto our palettes prior to setting up our screen. We flashed that so it's nice and tacky, and now we can put our shirt on. Now that our shirt's loaded, we're ready to do our first print. So I'm gonna gather a little bit of ink on the squeegee. I'm gonna go ahead and flood my image. And I'm gonna do my first print stroke. You can see with our first print stroke, it's just a single, that we have a nice white laid down. We don't have anything extra on the screen. We have no leakage anywhere. So we're gonna flash this and we're gonna do another coat on top, which is considered a print flash print. It's gonna give us that really nice white, vibrant print on a black shirt. When flashing our ink, we just wanna flash it till it's just dry to the touch. So with this M&R Tabasco flash, we have about 5 seconds under the flash. We pull that shirt back out. You can just touch it. It's dry to the touch and it's ready for our second layer of ink. So there you have a print flash print with white ink, really nice, bright on a black garment. Now that it's printed, we'll go ahead, run it through the dryer. We'll see what it looks like at the end. And now out of the dryer, we have our really nice, bright white ink, one color print, and all the steps on how to achieve it. So now that we're done printing, we'll go ahead, we'll clean this ink out, and we'll go through the process of reclaiming our screen. Now that we're finished printing, we're gonna remove the ink from this screen, clean off the squeegee, and go through reclaim. First thing we're gonna do is take our white ink off of our squeegee and back into our bucket. You wanna remove all the ink that you can from the squeegee, and then we'll go ahead and clean this and be ready for our next job. All right, now that we got all the white ink out of the screen, we're gonna go ahead and take it over to the reclaim. First thing we're gonna do is remove the tape from our screen. Now that our tape's removed, we're gonna go ahead and put this into our dip tank. We're gonna leave it in a dip tank for about 3 minutes and we're ready to power wash it off. Now that we've had it in here about 3 minutes, we're gonna set it aside for a second and let the rest of the chemical drain off so we're not creating any waste. And we'll take it straight into our washout bin, go to a pressure washer, and we'll go ahead and remove the emulsion. Now that we have our emulsion off, we're gonna use some screen wash just to get any ink or residue that's remaining on the screen. Now that we have all the emulsion, ink, and residue off the screen, our final step before we dry this is going to use a degreaser. The degreaser is going to remove any oil, any type of residue, anything that's going to affect the emulsion from not sticking to the screen. Now that our screen is completely reclaimed, ready to put it on our drying rack, it'll be ready to coat and move on to the next job. For more tips on screen printing, remember to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And absolutely on any video, put your comments, put your questions, or anything else you want to know or you'd like to see. And thanks for watching.